kicking back on this summer breeze. Welcome to Double K's Classroom. Class is officially in session. All right. Hey, y'all, what's up? This is Double K, K Double coming at you with another edition of That's Right, Double K's Classroom. In this week's edition, we're going to talk a little bit of, we're going to talk a little bit of Warriors. We're going to talk a little bit of 49ers. We're going to talk a little bit of A's. Maybe even go talk a little bit of Sharks if time permits. But what we're going to open up with is those Golden State Warriors. Right now, sitting at 6-6. I believe they're about the sixth or seventh seed in the Western Conference, right about where some people expected them to be. Not necessarily me. After the past couple of weeks, I saw the Warriors doing a little bit better than what they're doing right now. But, things change, people change, time change. They ran into a couple of hard matchups. They lost a heartbreaker against Indiana just a couple of days ago, while also losing matchup against Denver last night. The matchup for tonight against the Suns was canceled due to COVID protocols, but they should be back again, I believe, on Monday to play the Lakers, the reigning champs, the defending champs, Los Angeles Lakers. But I want to talk about the development of the team. You're talking about two players who have played in championship games before and have seen what it's like to go down that hard road. And then you got a bunch of young guys like Damian Lee, undrafted. You got James Wiseman, the number 2 pick in this year's draft, who's actually doing pretty good. He's averaging, I believe, around 10 points and about 5 to 8 rebounds a game. The kid's phenomenal from the games that I've seen him seen him play. He's got great defensive awareness. The kid can play both ends of the court. He's got a sweet little jumper. He can hit from the 3. I think long term the Warriors made the right choice by taking him in and bringing him on instead of trading the number 2 pick. They also got Steph back. Steph's had some good games, had some bad games, had a couple of games where the man shot like 30% from the field, but the Dubs still managed to win those games, which gives me a lot of hope. Now, the one star that I would say is a standout star, somebody that I did not see coming this season, it would be the one, the only Mitchell Andrew Wiggins. I thought he was a damn good player when he was drafted. I was actually kind of worried when he got drafted to Cleveland, but then when they traded him, I was like, all right, I don't want him. I feel what you're saying. But he landed his feet in Golden State, and I think this is a place where he may find some serious popularity and also success. The kid's been a defensive beast. I think he's averaging like 1.1 or zero point 0.9 blocks a game the past couple of games. I know I've seen him get at least 1 or 2. One of the game against Indiana, I think he ended up with 4 blocks in a game. Like, the kid's killing it on defensive end once he can get rolling on that offensive end, but he's averaging close to 20 a game. So, like, basically he's making up for Clay's production on both sides of the ball. Kelly Oubre has not lived up to all of his hype, but I say it's a long season. Let's let him see. Let's see if he can round out to be the player that we thought he was when the Warriors decided to trade for him this offseason. And people still forget. Don't forget this, folks. The Warriors still have like a $9 million injury exemption that they can use to go out and sign another player. They do need a big, or they can use it to trade for another player. Now, I say that only because I bring that up primarily because of the fact that Cleveland has an overload of bigs right now. They got Andre Drummond. They just got Jared Allen. They got JaVale McGee. They got Kevin Love. Larry Nance Jr. Like they've got a plethora of big men. I think if the Warriors were to go on ahead and trade over to Cleveland, maybe throw them some of that $9 million cap room, or maybe, I hate to say it, maybe give up like a Marquise Chris, somebody that they wouldn't need till next year, for somebody like Drummond, Andre Drummond. Maybe give up that Minnesota pick, since it looks like it's going to be top three anyway. Maybe get up that Minnesota pick for Andre Drummond. Get him over there. He's like in his early 30s, but I believe the man's still got a few good years left in him, and he could be a great mentor for James Wiseman aside from Draymond Green. But we'll see what happens with it. Right now, the Warriors are happy with where they're at. Even at 6-6, they're happy with where they're at. The team's still growing. They're still learning how to play together as a squad. But the times in which it seemed like they've really got it. They've dominated some teams. I'm not talking about when they dominated the Kings. I'm talking about like teams like Indiana. Like the Indiana game, they had a pretty decent lead going into the fourth quarter. And if it wasn't for like a 12-0, 13-0 run in the last couple of minutes of the fourth quarter, the Warriors win that game running away. So keep in mind, folks, that this is the same team that gave the Clippers fits, and I believe they will give the Lakers fits. Everybody's like, "Oh, AD, he's just going to dominate. He's just going to dominate." AD didn't dominate Draymond when they played, when he didn't have help. So I don't know where they get that he's all of a sudden going to dominate now, but the Warriors sitting at 6-6 are a team that I believe can make some noise in the Western Conference. We'll see what happens if they actually do or not. But right now, I believe that they can. So if you are somebody that's doubting the Warriors because of their 6-6, saying, "Oh, look, they probably ain't even gonna make the playoffs." Remember, 10 teams make the playoffs. This is gonna be a similar format to the bubble format, where you're gonna have play-in games. So up to 10 teams could make the playoffs, and the Warriors could be one of those 10. I do believe they are a top 10 team in the Western Conference, easy. But moving on from the Warriors, let's take a look across the bay into Oakland and take a look at those Oakland A's. This is a squad that I didn't know whether or not they were going to be able to bring back. At this point, they still have not re-signed Simeon, but they do have a strong pitching staff. Luzardo's looks good to go. They make sure to lock up Manea, even though they haven't signed him to a contract. This is a team that's going to be good. Trust me when I say this. This is the team that made some noise last year, even won a first round playoff matchup despite losing to Houston. Hits me right here when I have to say that we lost the series to the Houston Astros, and non-deserving bastards. But I believe that the A's will bounce back this season. I believe that they have the players already in place, and Chapman and Olsen, etc. I believe Chapman doesn't go down last year. That they have a much better run in the playoffs. They were leading the league. They were close to the top of the league in home runs, close to the top of the league in ERA. When you put those type of things together, you get a good, decent team. I believe that team last year could have been a 90-win team had they played a full 162 game season. But we'll see how it happens. We got a couple more months here before baseball is supposed to be starting up. I don't think we're going to get back to seeing fans, unfortunately, but I believe that we'll get to see some good old Oakland A's baseball. But for everybody else, as far as the A's winning a World Series anytime soon, I believe they could get to one. I believe that they're one of the top 4 or 5 teams in the American League, but will they win a championship anytime soon? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know for sure. But I have a lot of faith in my team. I will always support them. So let's go A's. They're planning on bringing in this kid. I think his name is Pedro something. He's an international prospect, but so supposedly the A's won the rights to sign him $4 million a year. Is about what they're going to bring him in at. They're good at bringing in people on bargain and getting the most value out of them. Billy Bean and them boys, great job that you do out there with getting the most value out of players that may not necessarily always be top tier when you sign them, but they once they come through the A's organization, they turn out to be something very, very worth it. Now, Baseball, basketball, these are all things that are baseball and basketball are two of my favorite sports, but my one and only in my heart, as you can see over my shoulder, over there, you can see Niners all day, every day. So we're gonna get to the second half of this show here right after this first quick commercial break and or podcast promo break, and we're gonna drop some knowledge about what's going on with the San Francisco 49ers. In the meantime, y'all go ahead and take a quick break for the YouTube channel, and I'll be right back. All right, and we are back. So, now talking about them 49ers, San Francisco to be exact. The Niners finished this season 6-10, a pathetic 6-10. But when you account the fact that they had 20 something players out of 53 go on to be on the injured list at some point this season, I think it's pretty much a, how do you say, they get a pass for this season. They lost Jimmy Garoppolo for a certain point this season. Raheem Mostert went out for a certain point. Debo Samuel spent a couple of weeks on the IR. Brandon Ayuk spent a week or two on the COVID protocol. George Kittle spent half the season on the IR. Like, man, come on. Like, anybody that expected them to still come out winners after all of that, you was out your mind. Like, come on, man. Like let's be real. The 49ers are damn good. Kyle Shanahan is a genius, but they wasn't that good. Well, after Nick Bosa, that was another huge one. They didn't have D Ford most of this season, and let's see, Dre Greenlaw turned out to be a beast, but even he missed a couple of weeks, and so did Fred Warner. But Fred Warner is still easily All Pro, Pro Bowl selection, one of the best linebackers, and keeping him around is just A plus. They will be losing 90% of their defensive backs. I think Tart and Ward are about the only ones that are locked up. Sherman's a free agent. Verrett's a free agent. Kwan Williams is a free agent. Like, most of the team's cornerbacks are free agents, which is why I think with the number 12 pick in the draft, which is where they landed, they need to go cornerback. Period. They need to go cornerback. The cornerback position is one that has well, shit, it's bothered the 49ers since Deion Sanders left and went to Dallas. I think that Caleb Farley is his name, or Patrick Surtain, if they can manage to nab one of them. A lot of people are saying, "Oh, get Justin Fields." I think that Jimmy is a quarterback that they could win a Super Bowl with easy. I think they just need the proper pieces around them, and I think on offense they pretty much have that. Between the O line and the D line, they pretty much have that. But I think that the cornerback position and or between the O line and the running backs and tight ends. They got one of the best tight ends in Kittle, two stout wide receivers that are going to come out to be beast in Ayuk and Samuel. Trent Taylor's still there, but I think we can kind of move on from him. Like his injury plagues is just not really good. Maybe pick up another guy late in the draft. But the 49ers have squad when healthy. So if they can stay healthy next season, I think that it's a good fit that they could go on ahead and get back to the playoffs, especially with the new playoff format with there being 7 teams. Shit, they almost made the playoffs this year. I believe they only fell like 3 games out of the final playoff spot at the end of the day. So, and they were in the hunt till late in the season. So you give us a full season healthy, and I believe this is a team that can make some noise. But when you look at them right now, they got a lot of work to do. Both Lynch and Shanahan have a lot of work to do. They just lost Robert Saleh as defensive coordinator. He was a beast. They just lost him to the New York Jets. He took the head coaching job in principal with them. But I like what they have planned. Bringing up the one and the only D'Amico Ryans as the defensive coordinator keeps the defense the same and gives the defensive players somebody that they're familiar with as far as their defensive coordinator. Kind of like with the deal with Sherman and Saleh when Saleh first got to San Francisco. I believe that the 49ers can turn it around. That 13-3 season was not a fluke. Without injury, I think they would have won at least 10 games this season, and they would have been either in the playoff hunt or they would have made the playoffs. Think about it like this. The team that just knocked off the Seattle Seahawks in the playoffs, the Los Angeles Rams, lost to this 49ers team with injuries twice this season. This Rams team that's sitting in the divisional playoffs right now, about to play, who is it? Green Bay, lost to the San Francisco 49ers twice this season. Lost to Nick Mullins. Nick Mullins. No. You don't lose to Nick Mullins. So, not to say Nick Mullins is a bad quarterback, but what I wouldn't mind seeing is the 49ers go for one of the later round quarterbacks, maybe a Zach Wilson, maybe if Mac Jones is available in that second round, snap him up as a backup to Jimmy G, but definitely not as somebody who's going to take Jimmy G's place. But here, let me address the elephant in the room. The elephant in the room is Deshaun Watson. Do the 49ers trade for him? I'm going to say this right now. If you have to give up Bosa, no. If you have to give up Warner, no. If you have to give up one of the young key pieces to your defense, let Deshaun Watson stay his unhappy ass in Houston. But if you can get him for like the number 12 pick, maybe a first rounder next year, maybe D Ford, throw his $20 million fucking contract in there. If you can get it for something like that, go for it. Then you can either trade Jimmy G back to New England or just release him and get the extra cap room. But at the end of the day, you don't, or you trade Jimmy G to Houston, but you don't give up Fred Warner or Nick Bosa. And if they're asking for that, shut talks down. You're good with what you have. Move on. Because at the end of the day, I love Deshaun Watson, and I think he would do wonders for this team. But if you give up Bosa for Watson, he's right back in the same spot that he was in Houston. I'm sorry, I love our defense, but our defense is no better than Houston's defense without Nick Bosa. Same thing with Fred Warner. The defense is nowhere near it's basically Houston, maybe a little bit better, but he's right back in the same spot. If you can get him without giving up one of the key pieces on the defense, it's all good. It's all good. Or maybe swap picks with them and send Jimmy there along, and then yeah. But that's about the only way I could see. I would be okay with the Niners getting Deshaun Watson. Period. there's four matchups in football this weekend. There's four matchups. Let me grab my little moving screen, as I call it. Uh, there's four playoff matchups this weekend. You got the Bucks and Tampa Bay. You got the Bucks and the Saints playing. So you got Drew Brees and you got Tom Brady. So that's going to be one hell of a matchup. You got, which by the way, I expect Tom Brady to come out on top of that. You got the Rams in Green Bay. I expect Aaron Rodgers to do what Aaron Rodgers do, baby, and take out the Rams. You got Baltimore and Buffalo. Even though Buffalo is running hot right now, I just think this is going to be that Lamar Jackson game. Lamar's going to get the Baltimore to the conference championships, and it's most likely going to be against my only upset I'm calling. I don't know why I feel it like this. I think that I'm going to be wrong on this, but I'm going to make this prediction anyway. Cleveland over Kansas City. Pittsburgh is not an example of why. I just think Cleveland has everything rolling right now. They are a team kind of like the Niners last year that maybe shouldn't be where they're at, but they can run over. They can run with any of the best teams in the league, and Kansas City is one of the best. But we'll see. Mahomes may work his magic, but I think Cleveland's going to come out on top of that. And I already told you, I expect Tampa Bay to come out on top of New Orleans, despite New Orleans sweeping Tampa Bay in the regular season series. You just don't beat Tom Brady 3 times in the same season. Who knows? But other than that, y'all, I think that it's been a great football season despite the lack of fans. I watch just about every game, and I've been watching every basketball game. Signed myself up for the Warriors League Pass, so I watch every Warriors game now. And I'm not against keeping fans away for their own safety. I'm not. I don't mind the empty arenas. I don't mind the lack of the filtered in crowd noise. Not with wrestling, not with pro sports. So we'll see how that rolls down. Y'all tune in to the audio version of Double K's Classroom right here on Spreaker.com for his Presents Radio, www.spreaker.com/Presents Radio. On Friday nights at 8. Check out the YouTube version, which some of you are watching right here. It'll be debuting on Saturdays, starting with Saturday the 16th. And join me next week with just the audio for K-Double's 5th period music class, where we'll be listening to some great duets in the rock community. Thanks for watching, y'all. I appreciate y'all getting back with me, and I'll see you next week. That's it. Peace.